Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another video. In this one, I'm going to be going over Unpredictable Cyclone. So how is it that you can build around this card and then play it? And then, well, yeah, I've got some cool gameplay with it too. So hopefully, if you've gotten yourselves Unpredictable Cyclone and you haven't been able to find a way to get this thing to work, this is going to help you out. Now, before I get too far into this, I want to quickly thank my patrons. Just if you've noticed, if you're a person who watches all my videos, I've been able to get out a video every day since Ikoria released. And I've been able to do so with a whole bunch of brand new cards. And I was able to pick up all of these cards because of my patrons. So being a content creator means that I have to try and spend my resources in a way that I wouldn't necessarily spend my resources. Just I need to get a whole bunch of stuff so that I can make videos on it and show you guys and all that kind of cool stuff. And I absolutely love that. But yeah, to my patrons, to you guys, my being able to put out this much content for Ikoria is entirely thanks to you. So thank you very, very much. Now, back to the true purpose of my video, Unpredictable Cyclone. So this is a red support. It is 15 mana, and it has, when you draw a card, you can't draw cards until the end of your turn. It also has, when you cycle another card, fetch the first card without cycling from your library that shares a card type with the cycled card. That card gains full mana, and this effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. It also has Cycling 5. You're probably not going to want to cycle this card. Cycling 5 is pretty heavy. But the bare bones part of this card, basically what it does is it makes it so that when you cycle a card, you fetch a card that doesn't have cycling of the same type. So the immediate thing that came into my mind was, let's use this with cycling creatures and then a creature that does not have cycling. And so let's use this with cycling spells and then a spell that doesn't have cycling, and the same thing for supports. And what I wound up settling with was this deck over here. So I wound up settling on Karn just because there were a whole bunch of different cards that I wanted to use, and it would have required me to have 4 colors, or just colors that I couldn't actually otherwise have with the Planeswalkers in the game. And so the card that I settled upon was Gaia's Revenge. Now, it doesn't have to be Gaia's Revenge for you. I just really liked that I was able to get 2 to 3 Gaias every single turn, which meant that my games were ending pretty quickly. When I was testing out Unpredictable Cyclone, I was finding that the deck was really unpredictable, but only because I was having a hard time getting the Cyclone itself. And so that's why I decided to include white so that I could throw in Idyllic Tutor. And so Idyllic Tutor has pick one of the first 4 different aura or enchantment cards from your library. It gains half of its mana. So for this to work, you need to have less than 4 aura/enchantments, and this deck has 3. Then the next thing that I was thinking was, okay, well, I'm not getting the creatures as often as I want. And so this is what made me put Nylea Keen-Eyed in. And so Nylea is going to fetch a creature at the end of every one of your turns, and then give all the creatures in your hand 2 mana. This is perfect for cycling because it's giving all the creatures mana, which you can then use to cycle, and it's also fetching creatures. And since the Unpredictable Cyclone is hopefully going to be fetching all of your copies of Gaia's out of your deck, Nylea is really only going to be fetching your cycling creatures. Then with more testing, I was like, this still isn't getting quite as many creatures as I want, and when I'm cycling my spells, so Wilt and Go for Blood, I keep pulling the Idyllic Tutor, but once I've gotten that first one, I just don't need it anymore. And so that's when I thought, you know what, Shared Summons would be perfect for this, because now what Shared Summons is going to do, same sort of deal with Nylea. So Shared Summons is going to fetch the next 2 creatures from your library that are different, but you've ideally already fetched all your Gaias out, or you've fetched a number of Gaias out. So Shared Summons is ideally going to fetch your 2 different cycle creatures, and then give those both 6 mana. And there aren't any cycle creatures that you're going to use that are going to need more than 6 mana to cycle. So this lets you cycle 2 creatures and get 2 free Gaias, which means that if you draw a spell, you've got a 50% chance of getting shared summons, which means then you've got a 50% chance of getting 2 more Gaias. If you draw a creature on your turn, then that creature is going to be a non-Gaia creature probably, and so you're going to be able to go ahead and fetch into the good stuff. Now, the reason why I said you only need 1 Idyllic Tutor is when you cycle a support. So if you cycle, say, Shark Typhoon, that should get you your Nylea if you don't already have it. The creatures that I chose to use are Yadaro, Wandering Monster, just because I absolutely freaking love turtles. And there's just that small part of me that was really hoping I would be able to get this beauty down on the battlefield and do cool things with it. And then also, and you absolutely do not need this for this, but this is definitely the best cycling creature for this, is Spellpire Phoenix, which comes in the Shabraz bundle that's currently out. And this one is the best for this deck because it has with not the second ability. When you cycle another card, if this creature's in your graveyard, return it to your hand. Then this creature gets +2/+2. So when you cycle, it goes to exile, but there's always a chance that you're going to have one in your graveyard. It's not a massive chance, but there is a chance that you're going to have one in your graveyard. So if you do, it's just going to give it to you back. It's just sort of like none of the other cycle cards are things that you're really going to use unless maybe you want to include the white critter that is when you cycle this, give your Gaia's lifelink, which would honestly be a better bet than Yadaro, but I have a love affair with turtles, so yeah, that's really all there is to it. So yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell. For you, if you want to try and build around this card, what you're going to want to do is settle on what is your creature that you want to be able to pull with cycling, what is your spell or what are your spells that you want to pull, and what is your support that you want to pull. And then ideally, you're going to go ahead and have somewhere between 5 and 6 other cards with cycling in your deck. And since most of the cards with cycling are common and uncommon, you can get away with it pretty easily. Shark Typhoon is not necessary at all. I just, once again, love the flavor of the sharks and the Sharknado, enough that I made videos on this because I love it. So this is a really cool deck, like really cool. So let's get into seeing this deck in action. All right, so this match, I had to go in just a little bit late, just the beginning of the file got corrupted. But here I'm up against Arlen, and so this is really where the fun starts anyways. So that's me getting the Cyclone down, and as soon as I got the Cyclone down, I'm able to go ahead and cycle away my Spellpire Phoenixes. And so I'm going to go ahead, cycle away the 3 Phoenixes to get my 3 free copies of Gaias for this turn. So there are the Gaias. They're free and beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and not lock down the 4th one just in case we want to use it. And so you'll see that I'm not using Karn's first ability. That's because there's this weird thing where if you exile a card with cycling, like with Karn's ability, or with like anything that's like exile stuff from your graveyard, it just auto cycles it. So a little bit dangerous. So anyways, back to the story. So we drew Yadaro, which is fantastic. So we're going to go ahead, cycle Yadaro. We're going to cycle the Phoenix. And then I'm looking at my hand. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be able to get this other Gaias off. So let's just play the Gaias. Let's get 3 Gaias down. We're going to have over 90 power in Gaias. And that's the end of Arlen. Alrighty, so here you get to see a battle of the colorless walkers. This was a match where I was testing out Embercleave, but it is as a support to fetch. But this is indeed a shared summons match. So this one actually went super well. So you'll see that I've got Nylea and I've got Unpredictable Cyclone in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead, use my first ability. Like I said, you got to be careful with Karn's first ability because the other things that you get rid of get cycled. So here you're going to actually see like the other cards that I was supposed to draw got cycled for some strange odd reason. But anywho, so I'm trying to figure out, all right, what to do here. I've got 1 Phoenix in my hand, which is good. I want to try and get as much mana as possible at this stage because really what I'm trying to do is get that Unpredictable Cyclone down on the battlefield. And so I've got a bunch of stuff that does not have cycling. I've got the Cyclone down, which is good. And so now I can start trying to get into the pieces that I need in order to just completely flat out destroy Ugin with no mercy. So I'm getting rid of the card that cannot be cycled, hence the Nylea going there. And then I'm going to go ahead and cycle the Phoenix so I can get my first Gaias and put it down. The 5 match is always a huge plus. We get Gaias, we get Nylea, and I was considering using Go for Blood to get rid of that little 1/5, but then I used my big boy brain to go, wait a minute, if I cycle this thing, I can get a shared summons, which could potentially get me 4 more Gaias. So would I rather have 4 more Gaias, or would I rather get rid of a 1/5? The answer, well, I mean, the shared summons would be 2 more Gaias, but the answer ultimately wound up being I'd rather have 2 more Gaias than getting rid of a 1/5 that has lifelink because of Soren. So the little 1/5 is going to be chipping away at me just little bits at a time, as I'm going to go ahead and chip away little bits at a time back at Ugin. So we'll see who wins the showdown. Now, Yodaro has a special buff to itself when it gets cycled. So here you're actually going to see the Yodaro's mana costs are going down, and they are getting buffed when I cycle Yodaro. I really wanted to get one of these Yodaros down, but I mean, honestly, what's going to be better? A 12/12 Yodaro or a 16/9 Gaia's Revenge? The easy answer is Gaia's Revenge. So I put the Yodaro on lockdown, and I played 3 Gaias here, with the understanding that Nylea is going to fetch me another creature, which means that I'm going to be able to get 3 Gaias down next turn too. Now, I mean, I know that the match at this stage is over. I mean, Ugin's not going to be able to kill me. I'm actually not going to cycle the Go for Blood here to try and get another shared summons. I did my job. The Gaias are going to have over 100 power, and that's going to be the end of Ugin. So here, any match will do. So I take a match, I play 3 more Gaias, and as you can see, it was just really, really easy. That was an effortless match to get 117 power in Gaia. So the deck is actually quite strong. It's definitely gimmicky, but it's a lot of fun. So if you've got this card, give it a shot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.